Welcome to Voice of Niger TV Daily Newspaper Review, where you get the insight of both local, national, and international newspaper front pages.
Good morning to our wonderful listener out there. I am Fatima Abdullahi Muhammad, and I welcome you to Voice of Niger TV Newspaper Review. Today is the 8th day in the month of April 2022. Ramadan Mubarak. And remember, what I'll be giving you are just the headlines. If any of the headlines catches your attention, do go to the nearest vendor and get a copy of the newspaper and get through to the details.
Alright, from the Nation newspaper, we have the following headlines. Attacked train. Families of abducted passengers protest. It has about 3 riders. My expectant sister husband with terrorists. Protesting pastors seek bombing of bandits. DHQ to Nigerians, don't despair. Still from the Nation newspaper, we have RMAFC proposes 3.3% cut in federal government allocation. It has a rider, states, council to get more. And above the nameplate of the Nation, we have 2022 budget deficit to hit 7.38 trillion naira. You can find that from page 5 of the Nation newspaper, and it has a rider, Buhari writes lawmakers. Another headline from the Nation, mass redeployment in police. You can find that from page 3. Alright, that's what we have for you today from the Nation newspaper. Remember, what we are giving you are just the headlines. If any of the headlines catches your attention, to go to the nearest vendor and get a copy of the Nation newspaper and get through to details. Alright, from the Leadership newspaper, we have the following headlines. PNB shocks state, local government areas defers new sharing formula. You can find out from the page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. It has about 2 riders. RMAFC proposes 45.17% for federal government, state 29.7%, local government areas 21.04%. President seeks approval to borrow more for 7.35 trillion naira budget deficit. We have another headline. Osibanjo will address presidential ambition in matter of days. Yes, you can find that from page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. Defection, court can't sack you, Judge tells Ayade. You can find that from page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. Leadership founders murder. Unions in Danusa Isaiah for burial on Tuesday. You can find that from the page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. That's all we have for you from the Leadership newspaper this morning. Alright, let's move to the Punch newspaper. From the Punch newspaper, we have the following headlines. We can see a headline boldly written, National Assembly fights Malami back, appeals Electoral Act judgment. You can find that on page 2 of the newspaper. It has about 3 riders. President Buhari's minister await final verdicts. Put 2023 ambition on hold. Lawan gives aides planning to contest ultimatum to resign. Omagege men comply. Cross River APC's asks Ayade's men to resign, while Bauchi governor orders aid to step down. We have another headline above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper. Buhari gets RMAFC's new revenue sharing formula. State, local government gets more. You can get that from page 23 of the newspaper. And we also have I await court action over comments on biggest murderer. That's coming from Shoinka. You can get that news from page 13 of the newspaper. We have Sim-Tunin. NIN sees enrollment of Nigerians falls by 45% in 3 months. You can find that news from the page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Beneath the photograph, you can see another headline. Adeboye's son later apologizes for calling pastors goats. You can find that from the page 7 of the newspaper. My father raped me for 1 year on beach, girlfriend's house. That's coming from the Lagos teenager. This is serious. You can find that from page 4 and 5 of the newspaper. Alright, that's what I'll be giving you from the Punch newspaper today. If any of the headlines catches your attention, go to the nearest vendor and get a copy of the newspaper and get through to the details. Right, let's move on to the Nigerian News Direct newspaper, and from this newspaper we have the following headline: Debt profile, federal government to finance budget deficit with new borrowings. It has a rider as expert predicts Nigerian bankruptcy before end of Q4. You can find out on page 2 of the newspaper. We also have a headline: UBA's 60th AGM, Elumelu upholds commitment to exit growth trajectory, create value and shareholders. You can find that on the page 4 of the newspaper. And above the nameplate of the Nigerian News Direct, we can find mass transit. Abiodun unveils Wi-Fi enabled buses, saying water tax is coming. Select Gas Commission's refuel station gets support from NCDMB. Federal government to redesign Lagos to Calabar rail corridor. Alright, that's what we have for you from the Nigerian News Direct this morning. Alright, from the Daily Trust newspaper, we have the following headlines: Pressure mounts on Pinnick to resign over Qatar 2022 failure. It has about 3 riders. He ought to have resigned long ago. Senate summons embattled president, sports minister. Third term ambition in jeopardy. Alright, we have another headlines. RMAFC reduces federal government's allocation to 45.17%, increases state and local government areas. Federal High Court bars journalists public from terrorism trials. We also have a Kwara community chief nabbed over rape, murder of 2 women. Right, that's what I can give you this morning from the Daily Trust newspaper. Alright, now to the Vanguard newspaper, we have the following headlines: Terrorists to federal government, talk to us or we kill all 167 captives. You can get them from the page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. It has a lot of riders. It has 167 passengers still in captivity. Abductors have collected 250 million ransom so far. Says government should hasten to meet us before we turn this place into an abattoir. That's some of the riders of that headline. And above the nameplate of the Vanguard, we have court declines to sack Ayade deputy for defecting to APC. Train attacks, Buhari approves railway surveillance contracts. You can find that from the page 7. And we also have new revenue formula. RMAFC slashes federal government's allocation from federal account. We also have a headline: Gunmen attack Soludo's local government secretariat, kill 2. You can get that from the page 11 of the newspaper. Alright, that's all I'll be giving you from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Alright, from the Voice of Liberty, we have the following headlines: Kaduna train attack, negotiate with us or we kill those remaining in our custody. That's coming from terrorists as they warn federal government. 2023, your presidential aspiration unrealistic, Asari Dokubo tells UK. And we have another headline: 2023, APC cancels nomination fees for female aspirants. We also have a headline saying Buhari writes reps 6 new borrowing to finance 2022 budget deficit. APC has lost its wound and healed itself, says Buhari as he meets Ademo Bolu. Political appointees contesting in 2023 should resign before April 11. That's coming from Obi Omoagege. That's what I can give you from the Voice of Liberty this morning. From the New Telegraph newspaper, we have the following headlines: Terrorists threaten to kill kidnapped victims. You can find that from page 3, 4, 6, and 8. It has about 3 riders. Pastor protest killings attack. Troops eliminate 80 terrorists, recover weapons in Northwest Central. Nigerians should be grateful to Buhari for real project. That's coming from Amici. We also have a headline: Oil theft. Nigeria lost 750 million naira in 2022. NNPC GMT. You can find that from page 3, 4, and 8 of the newspaper. We also have Buhari seeks approval of revised 2022 fiscal framework. You can find that from page 3 and 4. And above the nameplate of New Telegraph, we have this headline: Q1 Nigerian startups funding hits $532 million. I repeat, Q1 Nigeria startups funding hits $532 million. That's all I have for you from the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. Alright, let's move on to the Daily Independent newspaper. And from this newspaper, we have the following headlines: Nnamdi Kanu, Boko Haram financiers to face secret trial. It has about 2 riders. Federal High Court issues practice directions. Bars journalists, public from terrorism trials. We also have a headline saying Russia to Ukraine war. Stakeholders ask federal government to drive farmers to double wheat production. We also have a headline saying I never said vote for Buhari in 2015. That's coming from Wole Soyinka. You can get that from the page 6 of the newspaper. We also have defection. Court refuses to unseat Governor Ayade's deputy. You can get that from the page 7 of the Daily Independent newspaper. And above the nameplate of Daily Independent newspaper, we have the following headlines: Federal government to finance 2022 budget deficit with new borrowing. It has a rider. Begins move to review revenue formula. Oil theft. Nigeria lost $1.5 billion in 3 months. That's coming from NNPC boss. Alright, that's all I have for you from the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. And lastly, on Nigerian newspapers, we have National Economy newspaper. From this newspaper, we have the following headlines: Federal government's shift to local borrowing may eliminate forex fluctuation. It has a rider. Move to bridge 7.4 trillion naira budget deficit with strengthened capital markets. That's coming from experts. And above the nameplate of National Economy newspaper, we have this headline: RMAFC presents new revenue sharing formula proposal to Buhari. We also have a headline saying federal government approves 35 billion naira for aviation projects nationwide. You can get that from page 5 of the newspaper. We also have UBS 60th AGM. Shareholders laud UBS dividend yield. You can get that from page 5 of the National Economy newspaper. Okay, alright, that's all I'll be giving you this morning from the Nigerian newspapers. If any of the headline catches your attention, please go to the nearest vendor and get a copy of the newspaper and get through to details.
Thank you for watching. Please kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media handles. Your host, Fatima Abdullahi Mohammed. Do have a wonderful day ahead and Juman Mubarak.
At Voice of Nigeria TV, we keep you updated with news, information, and entertaining content. Kindly subscribe to our channels: Twitter at Voice of Nigeria TV1, Facebook at Voice of Nigeria TV, Instagram at Voice of Nigeria TV, YouTube Voice of Nigeria TV, and also our official website www.voiceofnigeriatv.org.ng.